That was a great interview, Jeff. Now finally, where can I find your website?
I don't have a website.
What?
I just never got around to making one.
You know what? I can't take you seriously with an attitude like that. I am extremely disappointed in you. To not have a website is irresponsible, lazy, you lack ambition. I mean, where's the vision?
Don't be like Jeff. Be responsible. Get out there and shine with a beautiful website by Web Orchard, where they will take care of all of your website needs. Go to theweborchard.com right now and get a beautiful website you deserve.
You know what? Get out.
Hi guys, and welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast with me, Alex Whiteley. And this is the halfway point for Season Alpha. It's episode 5 with James Millichamp, and what a journey it's been to get here. Honestly, it's been incredible. And I want to say thank you to everybody who supported the Shrewsbury Biscuit before and up to this point. It's been really, it's, throwing out the manual and ripping out this part and putting in this part and changing the way we do things. I know the interviews kind of sound the same, but the way I'm making them, producing them is completely different. So it's been a huge change, and everybody that's been supportive of me, thank you so much. We've had some really nice comments about the content, the social media stuff, and the graphics designs and stuff, of which were, of course, made by Web Orchard. So thank you, Web Orchard, for them. It looks really good. I think I was watching the morning show at the time. I was kind of like, I want something all punchy and fun, and that's what the new logo looks like. So it's really, really good. Today's guest is really, really cool. I love him very much for what he does, because he inspires young people to go out there and be artists, as well as being a great artist himself. We spoke I think it was last Christmas at Drawn, very briefly, on the Shrewsbury Biscuit, and since then I've been dying to get him behind the mic properly. So I'm very, very pleased to introduce to you today Mr. James Millichamp. I won't chat on too much. I'm going to let you listen to this amazing episode. So let's take it away. James Millichamp, everybody. I haven't done one of these intros for ages, which we were just going to. Now, weirdly, normally I am used to the sound of my own voice when I'm like editing back and stuff. It's fine, but since I've come back and I'm like super like hyper focused on my content, whether it's good and the natural sort of rapport of things, there've been a few cringe moments where I'm kind of like, I'm not back in the flow of it yet. Do you know what I mean? It's been nice though. It's been nice coming back. Welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit, guys. I'm Alex Whiteley, and today I'm joined by a champion, James Millichamp, you winner of the Bellevue Arts Festival gallery art competition that we had. An amazing event put together by My Shrewsbury, Soden Gallery, and Bellevue Arts Festival team as well. James, thank you for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me. It's very exciting. Yeah,
I was kicking myself. We were just making a drink now before we recorded, and I was just explaining to James that as all this was happening, I was at the Bellevue Arts Festival. I did a few reels and stuff, but just after that I sort of down mics for a bit, focused on my work life, and I couldn't cover the much of the Bellevue Arts Festival, which is amazing because I've covered it every single year since the Biscuits began.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's mad. So it's just your input. That's what it was. I was just like, oh, not this year, James. Not this year.
I jinxed it.
You did.
Clearly.
So I know that you're going to be a great guest on the show because Christmas last year, I've mentioned about this drug deal that went on with my wife and Mike Perkins a while ago. She secretly bought me a picture from Mike for Christmas.
Nice.
So when we were at Drawn that Christmas ago, I was chatting to you and Mike, and the conversation was so riveting, I didn't notice my wife in the background with Mike's wife buying a painting and rushing it to the car.
That's good.
Yeah.
The distraction technique.
Yeah.
Paid off.
Mike must have been like, James would be a good conversation for Alex. This would be a good distraction. Just tell us a bit about yourself, James. Where do you hail from originally?
So I'm from Wolverhampton.
Yes.
Which is, if you can't tell from the accent, which is a beautiful...
Quite a little town. I heard it's quite quaint, Wolverhampton.
I don't know if quaint quite covers it. It is It is the centre of the universe. Wolverhampton is. We were the first town to have traffic lights. If that's a claim to fame, I don't think it is.
We'll buy that.
Thanks. It's people don't know, but it's an historic town as well. It was founded in 985.
985.
I'm very proud Wolverhamptonian, as you can tell.
Do you know what I found out?
Yeah, tell
We'll
me.
pause on Wolverhampton for a
Yeah.
second, because I found out we're watching The Last Kingdom at the moment, which is one of my favourite shows about Vikings, right?
I've seen it. It's so good. The Robert Cornwell.
Bernard Cornwell.
But yeah, thanks.
He wrote the Sharp, but the reason why I like him is because he wrote the Sharp books. The Sharp was Sean Bean and all that. I read every single one of those books and I was obsessed for a long time. Literally read them all. I think 1.5 times. There's 22 books in the series. I tried to go again and got bored halfway through, but the books are amazing. Anyway, so me and my wife are obsessed with like Viking history, and and I found out that there's a Greek church just literally around the corner at the end of this estate, and it's built on top of an old ruin, which is one of the oldest historical landmarks in Europe.
No, really?
It goes back like 4,500 years.
That's incredible. That is incredible. Well, talking about Vikings, so Wolverhampton is kind of spread. There's quite a few towns which have been absorbed into Wolverhampton. And Wensfield, the name Wensfield comes from Woden's Field and was reportedly the site of a big battle between the Saxons and the Danes.
Saxons and the Danes.
An historic battle in
I
Wensfield.
love stuff like this.
It's good. They've got a headless cross in St. Peter's Church in Wolverhampton, which is over 1,000 years old.
Wow. It's mad, isn't it? You could be a tourist in your own. People go to Rome.
Forget Rome. No,
And they go to
Wolverhampton.
Greece.
It's just, it's a wonderful town. I still call it a town. I know it's officially a city, but I think to me it's always been a town.
When did you? I mean, so you're in Wolves, and when did you come to Shrewsbury? How long have you been here?
We came, I want to say 10, 11, 12 years ago. So I met my wife. We were both working. We're both teachers. We're working in the same school in Wolverhampton, and we moved over here for a nicer quality of life. I mean, Shropshire is a wonderful place to live. Shrewsbury
Beautiful.
is a beautiful, beautiful town. Lots to do, lots to eat. We like to go out to eat, to drink, all that stuff. And obviously the river. I mean, it's just gorgeous, isn't it? So we moved over here, and then my wife was headhunted for a job here.
Oh, nice.
So that was great. But of course, for me, it meant I was then commuting on my Todd back to Wolverhampton every day, and that got a bit tedious.
It's a bit soul destroyed, isn't it?
It got a little bit tedious, so I started looking for work this way and came over this way. But yeah, I studied in Wolverhampton, did my degree there and my master's, and worked. A lot of my working life spent in Wolverhampton teaching. So I teach and artist, educator, I call myself. People call themselves different things. Some people are like, I'm a maker teacher, or I'm a teacher artist. I'm an artist educator. I think that's what I like to call myself.
An artist educator.
Sounds pretentious, doesn't it? But whatever.
No, but I feel like it's good to be able to take a passion of what you do on the outside of work and bring it into that,
Yeah.
so you can be passionate about inspiring people, basically.
Well, exactly. And I think for young people to see that your teacher actually does what they're teaching you, I think that's important. Like take PE for example. Often PE teachers are competitive sports people, aren't they? They'll be coaching or playing professionally in either a local team or wider than that. So the youngsters can see, oh yeah, well, our netball coach actually plays netball, right? So I think as an artist and as an art teacher, it's important that you put your money where your mouth
You're
is.
practicing what you preach on the highest terms. It is inspiring to see, because I won't mention the name of the teacher or the school, but I went to school in Wrexham, and my maths teacher was a part-time teacher. He was a part-time taxi driver. That's right. He was a taxi driver. So he'd pick you up with your mom in the shop and be like, "Oh, it's you. Oh, yeah."
Wow.
We had some very odd job sort of teachers in that school, but nonetheless, I'm all right. I survived.
Exactly. I think. Teaching. I could talk all night about teaching. I think that if you get on with your teacher, I know it's schools will say different, but I think it makes such a difference, because there were teachers I had that put me off certain subjects, and other teachers, which really inspired me. So when I did sixth form, our art teacher, Mr. Perkins, was a massive, and I ended up working with him as a teacher later on, and worked under him.
Not Mike, is it?
No, it's not that. It's not that Mr. Perkins. John Perkins. He's retired now, and he was inspirational, and the way he could explain something really complex and make it obvious to me as a 16, 17-year-old was incredible, and he kind of ignited that real passion for it. I went to sixth form thinking I was going to be an architect. Right, I mean, I'm not clever enough, I'll be honest with you, but I thought I was at 16. So I did my A-levels thinking I was going to go on to architecture, and really my passion for art just exploded.
Isn't it amazing when someone can read between the lines like that? And sort of just, I think Brian Cox is one of the perfect examples. He can do, like, I always say, like, it's probably people roll their eyes at, but he can explain the inner workings of the universe with a stick and a bucket.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
It's amazing, and I think people think sometimes intelligence is using lots of big words and lots of language and making things almost impenetrable. But actually, for me, as somebody who's really intelligent can convey something complex in the simplest terms, and if they can explain it to me, they're doing well. Let me tell you.
I think it's about having a connection with a kid as well. I mean, one of the greatest teachers I had, I will mention his name, Mr. Fletcher. He was my geography teacher, and it wasn't even a curriculum thing. I think being an angst teenager, I think a lot of people can sort of put themselves in the same situation. I was a bit hormonal, a bit angry. Somebody annoyed me, and I went to rage at them, and he stood in front of me, which is probably the worst thing to probably do when someone's raging. But I was like, and I was screaming in this guy's face. He's like, let it out, come on, let it out. And so I did. He's like, see me after class. He didn't throw me out, didn't send me to sit down. He let me rage in his face, sit down. And he suggested that I do something to vent my anger. And he suggested the Army Cadets, and I joined the Army Cadets, and I became a very well decorated Army Cadet. I went and did all.
Fantastic.
You know what I mean? So he could sense that I just needed that little bit of a.
I think everybody needs an outlet, don't they? And you need something which can take you out of yourself. And in a way, for me, that's art. When I'm painting, it's like 3 hours feels like 5 minutes. It just goes. You're in the zone. Whatever it is that you do. Some people go running. Yeah. Some people go swimming. Some people play tennis. Whatever. For me, it's in the studio, paintbrush in my hand.
I like to dual screen when I edit and stuff. So like I've got my music, my podcast stuff on one screen, so it's all playing away. And on here, I'm doing graphic design and making artwork and stuff like that. So I'm doing these things, and like you said, that's exactly what happens to me. 5 minutes goes, and it's but what you're doing with art is like a blank canvas is probably one of the scariest things for me to think about, because if somebody says to you, go and paint something nice, and they give you a bucket of paint and a blank canvas, what do you do? And that's why your art, like having read and looked at your art, is like the complexity of what you do is that's quite frightening.
I think it's hard. I mean, I paint for me. Really, I make pictures that I think are interesting and want to look at, and I'm really lucky that other people seem to find them interesting or whatever. I've had the Bellevue Arts Competition and a few things, had a few exhibitions and pieces in Ironbridge Fine Art, and there's some pieces up in the parade at the moment. I've got a piece going in this week to Mrs. Jones Art Gallery.
Shout out to Miss Jones. I popped in there because she sends me emails to press releases for things. Got hair on my mic, it always annoys me. And I had to go and apologise because I'd stopped doing the biscuit. I wasn't doing anything. So I was like, please keep sending them to me, because she does do amazing work.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a lovely space, and actually it's a great, if you're just in town, because it's only across the footbridge, isn't it now? Lovely little space, and she has like jigsaws and really interesting art books. If you want a Christmas present for somebody, well, birthday present, I guess now we've had Christmas, haven't we? But lovely space to go. And then, so it's great to be in there, and to have that piece in Soden collection in the summer for the Bellevue Arts Festival was amazing. But my trick is with a you going back to you saying about a blank canvas, right?
Yeah.
This is the trick. I always just slap a bit of paint on before I start. So you got this. You're quite right. A blank white canvas. It's like the first page in your sketchbook, right? The white page, and it's so pristine and so perfect. And you're like, I don't want to ruin it.
I'm gonna beep this up.
So what I do is intentionally ruin it and then bring it back. So I'll just slap a streak of paint right across the middle and then start the work.
That's amazing.
And I do that on the first page in a sketchbook. I just scratch a line across the first page with a pencil or charcoal or whatever.
Do you reckon there's anything subconscious in what you do when you do that? You know, is there any? Because it's such an instant thing to just throw paint.
Well, sometimes it's interesting. Like one piece I did, which went down to Ironbridge and sold. Somebody else saw something in it. I put that first mark on. I had some blue paint. It was a big piece. It was like 4 foot by 3 foot. And I kind of did this zigzag mark just as that first mark, as the underpaint. And then I was going to start. And I was like, I just looked at it and thought, this is perfect.
This is it.
This is a beautiful thing. And I'd stopped myself. I said, that's it. I'm done. And it went in the show and it sold. Somebody else obviously liked it. But I think that's one of the hardest things is knowing when to stop because, a lot of my work is... it's built up in layers. So there'll be pictorial elements, it's kind of descriptive, almost drawn elements, detailed sections, and then it builds up in colour. So it's putting layer on layer, and sometimes it's knowing when to stop because do you know what I mean? You add one extra layer and think, oh no, I've ruined the whole thing.
It's not like drawing on a tablet where you can press an undo button.
There's no edit undo when you're slapping gloss paint on the cover.
And it's
pouring
like
bitumen down the thing or whatever. Yes.
Buy a new canvas and new paint as well if you want to start all over. And that's the thing. That's the scary thing. You know, it's like you can't just delete it. You got what you do. You're committing to that canvas.
But and I think that's part of the process. I mean, I say to the students at school, you know, they're so inspirational, young people, and working with young people is incredible privilege. You know, I'm not saying it's easy teaching, but it is a privilege because you working with young people, you see them take to things they've never tried, they've no experience, and they just throw themselves in, and you think this is incredible, and then you watch their skills develop, and they become more fluent and more confident, and it's so rewarding. But it is part of the process, and sometimes paintings get worse, and you have to bring them back. Right?
Yeah.
It gets worse before it gets better. And that's a hard thing to explain to a young person because for them, it goes wrong, they've ruined it, I'm giving up, I'm starting again. It's like, no, you don't give up. It'll come back to you. You've just got to work it.
I remember being puzzled by this for years, actually, because we had I think a typical time when an artist comes into school when I was younger. And we had this artist come in and she was like, rubbers are useless. Right, there are no such thing as mistakes. You know, she was teaching us about how you could tear things off, and then you can use that again for something else, and then you can do this, that, and the other. You can put, she was like teaching us that there are no mistakes in art, and I was like, but there are. It is really hard to get your head around because there are.
Yeah, they are, and things can be wrong. You know, if you draw in perspective and it's wrong, it's wrong.
If you're an architect, for example,
right? Yeah, exactly. But also it might be wrong on intention. You're trying to create a distorted effect. If you look at Cézanne's paintings where it looks like the apples should roll off the table, none of it makes sense pictorially.
Yeah,
but that was intentional. He was compressing the picture space to the front so you feel like you're right there, and it's intentional. So I wouldn't say to Cézanne, you're wrong. Do you know what I mean? But
derivative. That's
an intentional device, and I think that's different if you're learning and you do make mistakes in art, and things do need working on. And
is it really hard to teach that individualism when you're following a curriculum with kids?
I think that's a really good question, and it is hard because we. There are skills we want young people to learn, right? As an art teacher, you want them to learn to understand perspective as an example and value tone, dark and light and colour, how you mix colours, colour theory, all that stuff. And you teach that through set projects. So we're working on this project this term. But I always try and build in some level of choice, some degree of choice within the project. So it might be a fixed project, but they've got some control, some decision-making process involved in that. And then as they get older, I give more and more control to the students. So the A-level students, it's completely self-guided. I'm not saying it's not taught. We're there. We help them with the structure. We support them. We show them the skills and techniques they need. But in terms of their content, how they explore ideas, that's for them to come to us with. I mean, you mentioned Mike Perkins earlier. He said, I remember him saying something to me which stuck. He's obviously a very wise man and a very talented artist. And he said,
very wise.
He said, you can't teach style. Right, and I think that's true. He put it so well. It's like you've just explained it perfectly, because you can teach somebody the skills. They can understand tone and perspective and colour theory and everything else, but you can't teach somebody their own.
No, you're right.
Style.
Yeah, because you're always going to lean to what you feel comfortable with and what you excel at.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, he shared something. I can't remember the artist's name. I'm going to try and find it. I'm going to be rude looking at my phone. I'm very sorry. I'm going to make sure my phone volume's down. But it was really funny, and I was like, oh my God, it's brutal, but it made sense. Let me see if I can find it. We had a debate when he was on the Biscuit Guide. Did you hear that? About the Constantine.
Yeah. The name. Yeah. Don't ask me.
And I'm arguing with the guy.
I'll go with Mike. I think he probably knows.
I have to go with Mike because he literally draws Constantine. He's deleted it though. Okay, so it was basically a post where some guy was saying, how can I emulate such and such? And he showed pictures of this famous artist because I really like his work. And he commented on the tweet or whatever, you're saying, well, why don't you just learn how to draw?
Fantastic.
It's a bit disrespectful to just emulate someone. You got to be yourself.
But it's true. But I think, well, yes and no, because you always have influence. Like if you use a comparison of music, right? They think of musical genres. People are into punk or grunge or hip hop, or they like to listen to classical music or opera or whatever. So that influences you as a musician. If you're then composing work, you've got the styles that you absorb to then create your own style. And I think that's true of artists. We always look at other artists and what they're doing, and elements of that come through. And I always say to the students, you've got to look at what's out there and look at what people are doing. And so it's a bit like going back to music. You learn to play somebody else's piece on the piano to learn how to play the piano, and then you compose your own piece. I'm
going to say something to you now, like, where's he going with this one? But Beastie Boys, right?
I love the Beastie Boys.
Beastie Boys are a great example of that, because they used to bootleg music. They used to use a bit of a song.
Yeah.
And then they were getting fed up of doing that. They wanted to be individual, so they went and they learned to play instruments.
Yeah.
And that's how you get that amazing bass line, for Sabotage.
I saw them in 1993.
Oh, bless you, man. That's amazing.
Live in...
jealous.
At Lollapalooza in Vancouver in Canada. It was mind-blowing. And they played Wolverhampton. Going back to Wolverhampton being the centre of the universe, the Civic Hall, now it's called the Halls. And it's a slightly different animal. But back in the day, every band touring... big bands to little nobodies would play the Civic Halls, Wolverhampton.
I went to watch Royal Blood there a few years ago. They were phenomenal.
Yeah, great band, yeah.
I remember listening to it. I used to cycle to work when I lived in Telford, and I was listening to Royal Blood, and I got home and I was like, "This is the most full band I've heard since Linkin Park. They're amazing." And I googled them, and there was 2 of them in the band. I was like, "You're kidding me, right?" And I remember we went to the Civic, and they sell 2 pinters there, the Civic. And I went with my mate, Matt Rubis, all right, Matt? And we were drinking 2 pinters, got so drunk, we could be heard on the YouTube, or the clip that they had done for YouTube, shouting Hodor randomly off the balcony. Wolverhampton Civic. We've ruined their video.
Oh,
on YouTube. Oh, shouting Hodor, like 3, 2, 1, Hodor.
I've seen some bands there though. Sinead O'Connor I saw at the
oh really?
Civic Halls. Rest in peace. And Motorhead. Rest in peace, Lemmy.
Oh yeah.
And all sorts of bands. I mean, literally every band touring would play the Civic Hall.
Is this correct? I don't know. I think we nearly went to go and watch Highly Suspect there. I don't know. Like it's either there or Birmingham. But yeah, it's just reopened, doesn't it? So it's like there's more bands coming there. There's bands.
The halls. I haven't been since. I don't often go back across.
I love little venues like the O2 Academy venues you get like everywhere, dotted about, the ones in Birmingham and stuff. We went to watch Fun years ago. Remember Fun?
Rings a bell. Sing me the sing me the tune.
I'll have to find him. They sang some nights. Hold on, let me find him. We went to watch him, and there was like 500 people in the crowd. We could like touch his feet on the, and then we wouldn't. I wouldn't like, but it was that.
Yeah, I love that when you go to an intimate gig and you're up close and stuff. I think. But yeah, I mean, music is a big influence for me, really, as an artist. A lot of, I look at art and look at what people are doing, look at exhibitions, but.
Some nights I stay up.
That's still on my speaker. It was meant to come through here. You know these?
Oh, I don't know that.
You'll know this one.
Fleet Foxes.
We Are Young.
Sound.
No?
No.
Amazing band. Really, really good voice.
What are they called? Fun.
I'm
going to check.
Genuinely
these guys out.
brilliant band from the teens, yeah. Anyway, we digress about music.
We digress.
But I mean, I suppose like when it comes to things like music, things that are audible, movies, the area around us, geography, seasons, like that's all influences, massive influences for art. Always has been.
Everything comes into art because I think you look at artists and you look at what people are doing, but also you listen to music and what you get from music, I think, is atmosphere, tempo, rhythms, and all those things come into your visual imagination, if you know what I mean. And then movies. I mean, movies are a massive thing for me. I love film. I think it's one of the greatest art forms.
I love like the gritty, grainy, old version. Like Tarantino still uses that grain, that old style of filming. I love that to bits. I think it's like, don't ever get rid of that, movie makers, because it's so like.
Yeah. But it's like photography, digital photography's replaced traditional photography. But there are so many people still using dark rooms and cyanotype and alternative photography. And I guess like, it's like vinyl, isn't it? I mean, my record player's poorly at the moment.
Oh no!
I'm hoping to get something done about it, but you put on a record and the needle drops into the groove and the sound is just
that
better.
crackle.
Yeah, but the actual depth and warmth of the sound.
One of my favorite genres of music, and people are gonna be like, yeah, right, but I have got so much bootlegged. I say bootlegged. It's legally downloaded and it's like copyright free. Lo-fi music. Lo-fi for me, that crackle, that.
Yeah.
For me, it's like jazz, hip hop, and sort of ambiance music all mixed together. It's beautiful, and that's why I love Wu-Tang. Like Wu-Tang for me, they've got that crackle in with the music.
Yeah.
Every original Wu-Tang album, even the digital stuff, you have to turn up a little bit louder because of the way it was recorded. I love that. I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, going back to the Beastie Boys, their last proper studio album when they were all still going. They recorded it all on old 80s analog desks because they wanted that authentic hip hop sound.
Which one was that? Was that the one with Check It Out? Check It Out.
Yeah, I think so. Hello, Nasty. They did one after that, didn't they? Oh, I'm exposed in my lack of knowledge.
The last Beastie
post
Boys.
The year 2000. But Hello, Nasty, I'm sure was all recorded analog.
See, Weezer did that recently. I love Weezer as well. During the pandemic, I don't know how they got away with doing it, but they were like, yeah, we want an orchestra, we want a studio, we want lots of analog tape, and we want a massive rug like they do in studios, and we're going to record an analog album in like 2021 or whatever it was.
Play.
And it was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The last Beastie Boys album.
They did one about New York, didn't they? After Hello, Nasty.
Album.
I can't remember what it's called.
It was Hot Sauce?
Yeah, Hot Sauce, yeah.
The one I was thinking about was the
Hot Sauce Committee.
to the 5 boroughs. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's the one I said. Yeah, New York was to the 5 boroughs, wasn't it? That's
Yeah, great. We digress massively. I love this. Oh, by the way, I'm going to take pictures. I just thought I'd let you know. I wanted to do it in a natural way rather than be like, can you stop what you're saying? I'll take pictures of you. I'm going to take photos. I always forget to tell people, and then I whip out the phone, and then I'm like mid-sentence, and they sort of pause like, what is he doing? Do you feel like, are you in a position, because like, I guess while we're in that moment when we're younger, we don't realise, but do you think school is different now than when you were in school?
massively different. I think as a teacher, I would say schools are such better places than they were. You know, I'm obviously a little bit, he says cheekily, a little bit older than you could tell, quite a bit older than you could tell. I mean, when I was in like junior school, you'd be still smacked about by the teachers, you know?
Really?
Seriously. And
See, I don't think I could have coped with that. I probably would have like retaliated.
well, it was crazy. And then I mean, luckily my secondary school wasn't too bad for all that stuff. It seemed to phase out, but I think you know, schools now are so centred on well-being of the children in their care, and rightly so. I think what is a real shame, and what was exposed in the pandemic, is actually that kids who are less advantaged, you know, don't get really the help they need, I think, in this country. And I think that's a shame. You know, we're one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We've got the best education system in the world.
Yeah.
And actually that education system still cannot level out the social injustice that we have in this country. I'm sorry, I'm getting political, and I'm not here to be political.
It's fine. I totally see where you're coming from, especially when it comes to emotional maturity. I feel like there are certain situations where you hear something that I would hear back in the 90s, and certainly doesn't belong in society now. Something a kid would say about minority or homosexuality or women. I mean, wasn't it Andrew Tate, that bloody idiot?
Awful.
Like, he's creating all sorts of weird insecurities about masculinity at the moment. That's just like absolutely blowing my mind. Apparently it's that's my wife and Timmy. It's all right, you guys can come in, relax. My wife's like, I'll go into the bedroom. I'm like, no, because you make me look like taking over the. Apparently now it's super feminine, or it's emasculate to cuddle your child and hold your baby.
But this guy Andrew Tate, right? He's a proven criminal. He's a horrendous person,
womanizing,
and he's
criminal,
hateful, misogyny. Is people listen to it and it's crazy, absolutely crazy. I mean, my daughter's a teacher as well, and she's in Nottingham, and she teaches in a big academy school, and there's boys there that she's teaching who was 12, 13 years old who think Andrew Tate is the best thing since sliced bread, and hang on every word he was saying.
Yeah,
it's so wrong.
That mixed with like the likes of Jake and Logan Paul, who have made a career out of just being rude to people. You mix them together. It is really hard to sort of find. But that being said, I've met young people, especially doing this podcast thing. I've met young people and in my job, and you know, and in the universe, that restore my faith in the upcoming generations. You know, and you must see that in school all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very lucky in this. Am I allowed to say the school I work at?
Yeah, you can do it.
I'm very lucky. I work at the high school in Shrewsbury, and you know, the young people I get to work with are so rounded and balanced, and you know, diversity and inclusion is a big part of what we project as a school.
Good.
But the girls bring it as well, and where they see unfairness or injustice, they're encouraged to raise it and discuss it. And it's I think it's a blessing really to be in an environment where we all are working from the same page.
I think it's super important. And by the way, I remember thinking about the high school. I know, I'm thinking of the Shrewsbury School. You're in the high school, I'm thinking of the Shrewsbury School. It's not the same, is it?
It's not the same.
No. I'll say it anyway.
That's fine.
Shout out to the Shrewsbury School. I remember we were doing the Darwin Festival a couple of years ago, and we did a bit in the library there because we got the Darwin library. And so I had cameras and I had microphones and I was doing stuff, and I'd finished and I'd gone, goodbye everybody, I'm going to walk to my car. And I was walking through the grounds of the Shrewsbury School, and some prefect stopped me and they were like, why are you walking through the grounds of the Shrewsbury School, and why do you have a camera? And I was like, and I was like, that's a really good question. This guy was huge as well. He was like 6'3", and I was like, yeah, it's great that you're coming up to me, but I'm the biscuit guy. Get out my face. And then I just shoved him out. I'm not joking. I congratulated him on sort of being vigilant.
That's good. Yeah, they're doing their part.
Yeah. And I was like, explain. I've just been doing some filming. Showed him it was off. I'm going to my car. Leave me alone. You know, it was so funny. That's really good.
It is funny, isn't it? I mean, it's not quite as exciting as that. When I was teaching back in Wolverhampton, there was a kid come whizzing across the backfield of the school I was working at on like a BMX, right? Clearly not in school, nothing to do in the school. And so I thought it was some local young person thinking they'd come and have a pop or whatever. So I was, excuse me, come here, what are you doing? Can't come on, it's private property. And this poor lad looked at me and he pointed. He had his newspaper bag. He was bringing the papers post the papers to the school.
Get off our property.
Yeah, get off my land. Oh, yeah, you can post the papers. That's fine, thanks.
Yeah, please carry on. So when you talk about like bringing your, this is going to sound like a weird question, but I think it needs to be on like your outside art preferences and the way you like to do things, and then like the curriculum of how you're supposed to teach things, because there's one way and there's another way, isn't there? Do you find it difficult sometimes to separate the professional way of teaching to how you like to do art at home?
Yeah, no, it's totally different. It's a totally different thing. I think I'm Mr. Millichamp. So I put my tie on. I'm Mr. Millichamp at school. And
then when he goes home, he's in the garage with Slipknot. And it's like, ah!
Exactly, 100%. It is like that. I mean, that's what it's like. But I think you know, because you, as a teacher, you have a professional job to do, professional duty of care to your students, and you're there, and I'm there teaching. So like going back to Mike's thing about you can't teach style, but I'm there to teach techniques to help students get confident.
Yes.
To then find their own voice. I'm not there, we have no house style. There's no school. It'd be easy as a teacher to say, right, you're all going to do this. This is how you're going to do it, and teach them all by rote to make nice copies of Impressionist paintings or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not the point of it for me. They'd all pass the exam, but the point of it is to encourage them to go into the world
and be them
confident artists, having their own voice. And if they want to do architecture, they want to do fashion, they want to do whatever as the next step, we send them off with confidence in themselves.
I was talking about this last time it was actually on the outro of the interview I did with Ash and Joey from Dungarees and Squeegees. They've just got their screen press studio and English Bridge workshops. Amazing. They do amazing t-shirts and stuff. Anyway, what I was talking about was how important culture is to society over history. So I was going back. I think the comment I made was about the Renaissance. We wouldn't know what was going on in the Renaissance if it wasn't for the art, right, and the music.
Yeah.
Right. So when the people in the government were like, during COVID, like, don't be an artist, be an accountant. I was like, that's probably one of the most offensive things you could say to a creative. Like,
yeah. Do you remember they had that poster with the ballerina?
Yeah.
A young girl in a ballerina, and it was like, oh, she's now retrained as an accountant. And it was like the uproar because, well, not only is it short-sighted and clumsy on the part of whoever's put that message together, but actually you can have amazing careers in the arts, be it in dance, performing arts, music, visual art. You can have incredibly rewarding, successful.
We have one of our local artists
careers.
built 2 massive mansions in Bellevue on the back of his work with The Walking Dead. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And we at the high school we had an old girl come back, Deborah Lloyd. This was a year ago. She came to speak to the girls. She's really generous with the time. And she was creative director of Kate Spade, New York.
Wow.
And she's worth over 20 million.
Well, there you
She's
go.
retired young and she's enjoying her retirement, working in the fashion industry, right? So there's so many careers that you can have and be successful. So that in itself is ridiculous. But then at a time when we're all absorbing art because there's nothing, lockdown. If you think of lockdown, what did we all do? We put the radio on, we put the TV on, we
So in front of YouTube, Netflix.
and that's all the creative industries, and that's what kept everybody going.
It's really funny because it's like, well, who designed this poster?
Exactly. Yeah.
Graphic designers as well.
So bonkers. But what you've got to think about, I think people think art is a luxury, right? They think art is an extra. It's not. Every human society on Earth, throughout history and prehistory,
Yes.
has made art. So if it's just an extra thing that's a nice luxury, why have we always
I was
had it?
watching a documentary about, oh my God, I've forgotten the name of the prehistoric 50,000-year-old version of human beings. I've forgotten the name of him. Not Neanderthals, the ones before Neanderthals.
Because it's Homo sapiens, aren't there? And then there was Homo erectus,
50,000 years ago, we were drawing paintings on a wall. That is art. It starts from that. And they weren't doing that to hang in a Tate gallery.
No.
They're doing that because they wanted to. And they wanted.
But it's the spiritual element. I mean, if you look through history, art and the spiritual have always been connected. If you go back to the Renaissance, obviously, but also like in the Renaissance, they were looking back to ancient Rome, ancient Greece, and those times people thought about the muses, right? So if you were creative, if you put on an amazing piece of drama, you were inspired by the muses, which were the gods of creativity. Because we're just humans, we're not creative, right? It's a flash of the divine creativity. And I'm not getting spiritual. I'm saying that's how people saw it. But if you look at the throughout history and prehistory, art and spiritualism, faith, divinity, whatever version it's been through time, they've always been linked from those earliest cave paintings to, right up to the Renaissance.
I remember looking at is it Robin Milton, the guy from St. Mary's Church. I was in St. Mary's Church. I may edit that out. And we were looking at the windows. Stained glass windows, and he's like, look, this means this means that, and this means that. And then he was like, I'll tell you exactly what that is. That is your first comic book.
Yeah.
And I looked at the stained glass windows like, oh my God, and that's like 700 years old.
But not only is that your first comic book, that's your first colour TV.
Yeah.
That's your first cinema. Think about this, medieval people, right? Everything's brown. Everything is brown. Your house is brown, your clothes are brown, your skin is caked in dirt, everything's just neutral, right? And then you go into this dark hall and it's the biggest building in the village and it's got the nicest stone in the village, and you go in and you sit in the pews and you look up. You imagine the sunlight coming through those coloured windows, that coloured glass, glowing, illuminated,
Magnificent.
And now we've got that in our pocket. You've got a mobile phone in your pocket that's got the whole world illuminated in your pocket.
And that's what I was talking to on the Biscuit Guy, guys. It was a very clever segue. If you want to listen to me in an R-rated nature, we'll listen to the Biscuit Guy. But I was chatting to Mike about, the way back when Mike was first doing his comic books, when they would be like, what does a palm tree look like? They'd have to go and rummage and look for an old picture of a palm tree. Whereas now we can just go Google, palm tree, done.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It is amazing, and it's. I know there are many problems with the internet, and we were talking about Andrew Tate earlier, and hate speech and all that other stuff that's just horrendous. But the internet is such a force of good, of positive, of sharing knowledge. It's amazing, and like you were saying, when I was at school doing art, there was like a dusty shelf in the back of the art room with the art teacher's old art books, and if you wanted to learn about any artist, you'd go and take a book down and look through. Whereas now my students, I'm saying to them, what do you know about Picasso? And it's like click, click, click. Oh, I like this, sir. This is great. I was fantastic.
Oh my God! How's it just gone? What was the name of the encyclopedia we had on the computer PC?
Britannica.
No.
Was it?
Oh my god! We used to sit and watch, and there was like a clicky game you could play. Oh my god! The CD-ROM encyclopedia.
CD-ROMs. Do you remember those? I mean, laptops don't even have CDs now.
Oh my god! What's it called? Encarta.
Oh, Encarta, yeah. I know exactly what you're
My wife's like, she's in the background saying, yes, remember that? Remember that?
Yeah.
CD-ROM. And I just saw the actual CD-ROM as well on the picture. Look, there it is.
I mean, they were so advanced. CD-ROM. I was
What?
back in the days. We had floppy disks. Encarta 97. I was at university then.
Encarta. Yeah, so inspiration is everywhere for young people and people of all ages. But when it comes to Shrewsbury and the art that's within this loop, I say within this loop, but obviously we're talking about Shrewsbury and Shropshire, I guess. It seems to be quite a special town as far as art.
Yeah, it's a
community.
real creative hub. I mean, I love it. I think this is part of what drew us to move over here, because when we first moved here, we moved to Bellevue initially. We've moved out a little bit further now, but there's the kind of art scene and the culture and all the little galleries and places you can go, and Shropshire more widely, Iron Bridge, and there's just so much going on, and all the competitions, fantastic what the Bellevue Arts Festival puts on, and
I just
all these community groups that make things happen, and it's those competitions that keep us going as artists, because it's things to get involved with. And
something to do, isn't it?
Gives you something to work towards, and it means then that you're seeing, other artists. You get to meet people, you make connections.
I've seen like brand new artists like flourish. Apps like I'm going to shout out Jane Pickworth just as because she is a good friend of ours, but like also as well, she was like, I'm going to try to do some painting. I've got a bit of one of the first bits of art in my room. It's really nice. And Timmy's got one on his wall as well. And she started doing that before the Bellevue Arts Festival, and she had a piece in and that was like brand new. So this competition has inspired brand new artists to go out there and try.
And like the Shrewsbury Art Trail, that kind of takes over the whole town, and the things that happen, and this Dali sculptures coming into Shrewsbury.
Yeah, Dali pieces. I love Dali.
It was crazy. It was amazing. And, I had a piece in that exhibition, the Shrewsbury Art Trail, in the summer. And I can say to people, I've had my work next to David Hockney and Salvador Dali. That's like, for me, that's like, oh my God, it's so cool.
I remember we were in that room. I was like, who's that? And there's the one with the Dennis the Menace picture. That's a famous artist. I've forgotten the name of the artist, but apparently he's very, very, very famous artist.
Was it Banksy? It wasn't Banksy, was it?
No, but he was next to your painting. And I was like, who's that? And they're like, James Millichamp. I was like, oh, local boy. Okay, I know him.
Yeah. What a privilege.
I know.
What a privilege, to show your work in somewhere like Shrewsbury Museum Art Gallery amongst such esteemed artists, and Mike as well, of course, and Charlie Adlard had pieces in.
Charlie who?
I think he's into comic art or something. I think he's all right.
I think you're making this up.
So that's amazing, and that's what I love about Shrewsbury and Shropshire, is that these things exist. All these competitions, all these events and festivals, and people can get involved as artists, but also for the wider community. We can go and see exhibitions and experience things, and
it really is magical. And I love it. I mean, because it's given me so much to talk about, and it's really weird because I'm an audio only podcast. I've talked a lot about art, which people can't see whilst they listen to the thing. But you can also get, you can look at James's work now. Just type in James Millichamp, and
the beauty of the internet. You can Google.
It's not an Encarta, but
it's not quite on Encarta yet.
Maybe one day. I'm going to play a game with you, if that's okay. And being a teacher working at school, if there's anything inappropriate that comes up, you can skip it. I'm giving you permission. But let me just check. We won't get the right button. It's a game called
Wait, random, innit?
It's so community radio. I love it. This is random minute. It's just literally a minute of random questions.
Do I win £1 million at the end?
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? But no, I'm sorry, we don't have that in our budget. I need a stopwatch. Where's my stopwatch? Forgot to use my phone watch. Even okay. Here we go. No, that's my alarm.
I feel like I need to stretch out, limber up, ready for this.
I love this so much because it puts people on edge. It's so good. So I found a website called teambuilding.com, and they've got a random question generator.
That's so cool. I'm so using that at school.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. Teambuilding.com.
You have to check everything that you're going to play at school, trust me.
Oh, I bet, actually, yeah. My teacher asked me about this and this. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll bring up the first question, and then I'll press start, and you got like a minute. Try and answer as many as you can, all right?
Well, I'll try.
Okay. What do you enjoy the most about your holidays?
Being with my family.
What book are you currently reading?
I'm currently reading the Wizard of Earthsea trilogy. I'm on the 3rd book. Literally, I can't get enough of Ursula K. Le Guin. Amazing.
Nice. What do you enjoy most about your job?
Seeing the progress for young people, seeing people get confident and move forward. Amazing.
Nice. And world peace. Yeah. Okay, I'm joking. What is your favourite, your greatest cook that you know? Who is the greatest cook you know?
I'd have to say my wife, wouldn't I? But yeah, between my wife and my mum.
Oh, that's a controversial one. What is something that frustrates you at work?
Not having enough hours in the day to do all the things I'd like to do.
Employee of the month. When you take notes, do you jot down ideas online with a pen or paper? What?
What? I don't understand that.
I'll take this back a few seconds right there. When you take notes, do you jot down ideas online or with a pen and paper?
On a tablet these days, yeah.
Okay. Would you rather work from home or in an office?
Home, probably. Although I'd get really fat.
And there we go. That's the end of...
Wait, random, innit?
Oh, Derek. I love you. Derek Willis did that for me. He's wonderful.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I love
Very
it.
Good.
So, speaking about that, did you do lots of virtual online teaching stuff during the pandemic?
That was quite hard. We did.
Art,
It was hard for art because, it was great, actually. There was lots of...
Go and paint a flower.
Well, the challenge was, in school, you're teaching technique. As we said earlier, you're teaching techniques about perspective and whatever. So you'll be using material. So, like, we're using, acrylic paints to work out colour theory, or we're using charcoal to work out tonal value. Well, if you're teaching remotely, you can't assume that people have acrylic paints and charcoal and canvases and whatever else just knocking about their house.
You grab a piece of silk, guys. Grab a piece of...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Have you got your batik wax pots?
Today we're learning about silk and mat. A piece of paper and a piece of silk.
It was interesting, but I was lucky enough to be at the high school who really put in the effort to make sure there was teaching for students. So there was online lessons. Every lesson was just online instead of in school. And I know some schools didn't do it like that. They might have, my son's school, they set some tasks and then it was a little bit in between. So that was good, but it was certainly a challenge.
So it's not opened up any ideas of, we can do virtual stuff now. It's just as soon as the pandemic is over, that's going straight in the bin.
I think the thing with teaching is a lot of it is transactional. It's relational. It's like we were saying earlier about the teachers. You got to get on with your teacher, haven't you? I think.
Yeah.
And I try to treat every child in my care as I would wish my children be treated. But I think when you're dealing with, teenage people who've got hormones and got issues, whatever else, you have to be quite sensitive to that. And actually, when you're face to face, sometimes you can read mood, you can read atmosphere, you can negotiate things. Like you were saying about your teacher who let you let it all out,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then talk you down, and then set you off onto cadets, and
Yeah,
you know you couldn't have done any of that remotely,
No.
right? Because if you were having a paddy, you'd have just turned the laptop off.
It was definitely very much of a party I was having.
Do you know what I mean? So I think the face-to-face thing, and also school is actually about socialisation and about learning to work with others and learning to be cooperative. And,
I was thinking about when you were saying about you got to get on with your teacher, and I was thinking, well, there is the other aspect of I've had some real asshole bosses in my past. You know, in my old jobs years and years ago, of course. I feel like school has taught me that as well. It's taught me how to like behave and get a job done with someone that maybe you didn't
Yeah.
get on well with.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It sounds, that sounds like a really negative thing to say, but
no, but that is like, you know, when you're working in a job, you don't pick your colleagues, do you?
No.
You just work with them, and you get on with them as best you can, and that is something you learn at school, is how to navigate and how to negotiate and how to compromise, and I think all that stuff is life skills, isn't it?
Bellevue Arts Festival this year coming up. Will you be taking part again? Will you be? Have you heard much about it?
I'd love to get involved. I mean, there's the Secret 7 thing as well. That's open for applications. This is what I mean about Shropshire. There's so many things, and I love it because it spurs me on to do the next piece. Like, I've got loads of ideas. I mean, I could just, you know,
That's what I read about Katie Rink's like write up about you. Was like there was two things that struck me. One was you saying there's not enough time for you to be creative and professional at the same time. It's hard to squeeze them in. Totally relate to that. And also about how you're having too many ideas.
Yeah.
And not enough time to do that.
I just want the time to. So you can lock me in a shed for 6 months, and I'll just come out at the end covered in paint with
You'd be
loads
like,
of canvases.
It's done.
But those competitions give you the impetus, you know, because the idea is there in your mind, and you think, oh, actually, the deadline for this is 6 weeks away. I better actually get on and make it happen. It spurs you on. It gives you that charge, and then even if you don't get into the competitions, you know, the fact that it's on, then you go and you meet other artists, and there's a community of artists.
Yeah,
you know, in Shrewsbury and Shropshire.
There is.
And it's so good. And, you know, even out to Ironbridge Fine Arts there, they just did a printmaking competition. I was lucky enough to be in that. And it's, I think it spurs you on to the next thing. Have something to aim for.
How many disciplines of art do you have that you are kind of like favourites of? Is there too many to name? Like,
well, my thing really, so I tend to paint.
Yeah.
And print make. So I do like etchings and dry point, intaglio printmaking. But obviously, as a teacher, you teach everything. You're a master of all trades, really, in a way, because you're teaching ceramics, you're teaching textiles.
Is there a discipline that you're not the best at, and you're like, I can't. Oh, it's coming up again. Are you allowed to say? You might.
I probably couldn't say it. I probably couldn't say it. The nice thing about where I work is we've got a creative technologies faculty, so we've got a team of people. So our technician is a ceramics specialist, amazing ceramics artist. Her work is sublime. I mean, sublime. So you know, she's got this wealth of skill and knowledge to draw on. My other colleague is a fine artist, but she's also got incredible experience with textiles and knows it inside out.
Good wealth of knowledge, and
then and then we've got a DT and food teacher who's just amazing with the practical side. But then we pull in, you know, we've got somebody doing graphics at the moment as an A level, graphic communication. So we go and chat to the marketing team and the graphic design people, and you know, so there's people you can draw into. I mean, I know enough, but obviously you want that specialist.
We should do it. I should meet with the school and be like, design a brand new Shrewsbury Biscuit logo. The winner, I'll use it, and then the best one, I just get to pick my new.
We could do that for you, yeah, would it? That's all right.
Get a free logo and the buzz of a competition as well.
But I think like, joking aside, that would be ace actually.
Really?
Because I'll tell you why. It's a real world scenario, isn't it? Right. So you've got a real podcast that needs a real logo that's actually going to become a real thing. Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
So for a young person, suddenly they're invested because that's a real challenge, and you're an actual, you know, business, you're a person, you're going to judge. It's not just old Mr. Millichamp saying, right, kids, we're doing graphics this week. It's a real outcome judged by a real person.
This is actually, I'm being quite serious because I'm doing seasons now. This is season alpha because I couldn't go from season 1 after doing 400 odd episodes. That'd just be weird. So at season alpha, we'll do that and we'll do 26
I
of
like
them.
it. And then you're going to do like Pokemon Diamond, Pokemon Pearl.
Then we'll do all 26 letters of the alphabet. Then we'll do Alpha Bravo. Alpha Charlie. That's so funny. So maybe for season Bravo,
You'll need a logo.
we'll need a logo.
I know some
we do 10 episodes.
amazing, creative young people who would love to design you a logo.
Can I take... It's not taking advantage of. I mean, I feel like it is a great incentive. You're
It's
right.
a great incentive for the youngsters because they'll have to think about them. Well, who is your podcast for? What kind of target audience are they designing for? What colours and
Yeah, sure.
lettering would you want for that market?
Thinking. I was looking at my calendar behind you because I remembered I've got an event that I got asked to go to at the end of January, and I just remembered it now. I'm getting involved with the community, and that's the whole point of this Shrewsbury Biscuit is that it's inclusive for everybody. That's why I keep it family friendly and stuff. So maybe we can do. I'll speak to the school and speak to you. See if
I think that'd be really good.
Okay, cool.
I'm excited.
What would you say to somebody out there? This is going to sound like a very cliche question, but I feel like it's designed more for people like Jane, who's like a closeted artist. That's maybe Jane's just come out of her artistic closet and she's now doing this amazing art that's now all over town. If somebody was in that defensive mode and too scared to come out, what would you say to them in way of artists?
Everybody's an artist. Everybody's an artist. Everybody has in them creativity, and it comes out in different ways. You know, it might be that you're great in the kitchen. That random question about who's the best cook, right? It might come out in your food that you prepare. It might come out in the way you arrange your living room or your home furnishings. It might come out in all sorts of different ways. But everybody has got an artist in them. It's finding something to kind of tap into and let that out. And I would say, you know, you can sign up for courses. You can go and do evening classes. Just have a.
It doesn't
go.
cost anything to do the Bellevue Arts either, does it? Can you just like put in for the competition
To enter, yeah, I think it's open to anybody, isn't it, to enter?
Seriously, guys, like give the Bellevue Arts Festival, and this isn't me. They are friends of mine. You know, they're good people, but like it is like we've talked about incentives and stuff a lot for this podcast. But if you want something to strive towards and something to go towards, then the Bellevue Arts Festival is great, and also you get to meet great artists around Shrewsbury as well.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. We moved over here knowing there was an interesting scene. It's creative and there's lots of galleries and opportunities. But I had no idea, you know, actually how many seriously successful
And it's a conveyor belt as well. It's
artists
constantly
are in
churning.
this area. It's amazing.
Mad.
People
Really.
you get to meet, incredible.
Well, James, I think you've been a great guest. I was right. I was so right about this. I was like, we gelled at my Kaz is in the background. I was talking about the drug deal with Mike Perkins. One of my favourite moments in my life. My son sat there like, what? The Mike Perkins painting. Yeah. Timmy's nodding. Yeah. Actually, do you know what? Before we go, there was one question I really wanted to ask you about teaching.
Yes.
Young people getting into teaching. I know there's a big drive to bring new young people into becoming teachers and stuff. Advice for people that may want to go into the world of teaching.
I think you've got to go for it. It is something you either want to do or don't want to do. It's not a job. You know, people sort of go, oh, you get all these nice holidays and you work from 9 till 3 o'clock. And, you know, it's easy for me to sit here as a teacher and say none of that is true. You do get breaks, but you need the breaks because it's so exhausting. And the idea that you do 9 till 3 is not really the case. I think teaching is amazing, fantastic career. I really do feel so lucky and honoured to work with young people and help them find their way. And as I said, my daughter's a teacher now.
Wow.
I think it's
Set a tone.
I think it is so rewarding, but you've got to really want to do it. You've got to be.
Can't do it if you don't really like children. I mean,
You've got to be committed to it. Well, the weird thing is, you end up you know, liking all the children in your care. There might be a complete nightmare. It's not the case where I work. I'm very lucky to say. But, you know, you think to yourself, well, actually, this is a child who clearly is having whatever problems. And
It's nice to be happy in your job, isn't it?
You try and find your way around it. It's a brilliant job. It really is.
Yeah, totally. Well, thank you very much for joining me on the Shrewsbury Biscuit. Where can people follow your stuff? Where can people...
I've got an Instagram, James Millichamp, Fragile Studios. That's it, really.
Yeah, I'll put the link on the readout. So,
that'd be amazing. I mean, I've got stuff around.
Do you do commissions outside of
exhibitions?
your job?
Not really, no, because of the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm so busy teaching. You know, I tend to work in the holidays on my art practice.
So if you want
and
James,
as I said earlier, I'll do it for me, and then if I'm lucky, somebody else might like it, and people seem to. So that's
nice.
That's always good.
So if you want James to paint you like one of his French girls, can't do that. I'm afraid he's busy.
It's not happening.
Yeah. Thanks, James, for joining me on the show.
Thank you so much.
And there we have it. What a great interview that was with James. Really chilled out. I love those chats where we can just sit and relax and just talk about what's on our mind. Sometimes that gets me into trouble, but most times it just creates a great podcast like the one you just heard, which is quite cool. So thank you, James, for joining us on the Shrewsbury Biscuit, and we'll definitely get him on again some point. I mean, we were making plans, as you just heard. We're going to do stuff and create a competition, which is great. I'm really excited about that. And this is what the power of podcasting can do. With the power of a conversation, you can change the world. And if you want to have your opportunity to come on the show and talk to me and change the world in your own little way, please get in touch. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I am on other social medias, but they're my three strongest. I think I only go on Twitter very now and again. I think if a pop-up catches me on my phone or something, you know, or if there's a juicy headline, I'll probably go on Twitter. And LinkedIn, I only go on to show off about stuff. So yeah, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok for the odd video now and again. Yeah, they're the best places to catch me. But you can also email me at shrewsburybiscuitpodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear off you. You know, if you've got an amazing story to tell, come on my show and tell it. That's what we're here to do. Okay, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to James for being a great guest, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.